Earlier today, when the Nigeria Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress began the nationwide strike, withdrawing services in all federal government parastatals to push for a new minimum wage for workers. The labor unions on Sunday insisted on going ahead with the strike despite all efforts by the government to draw them back to the negotiation table. TVC News reporters were out and about capturing the situation.
It's the first day of the indefinite strike embarked upon by the labor union across the country. In Taraba State, there is a partial compliance as there is a free flow of vehicular movement within Lafia, the state capital.
Based on the directive, they must comply. As you can see, these are the challenges we're having with Nigeria today. How can a worker taking 60,000 naira as minimum wage? You ordinarily know a bag of rice is how much? 70,000 naira. So if you have a family of 5 or 6, and then what are you going to use to pay school fees and all of that?
Workers in Benue State also joined the nationwide strike over minimum wage and electricity tariff. The organized labor in the state dispatched a monitoring team to enforce compliance.
All union offices should be closed. We will look at the compliance today. Already the monitoring team is moving around. It's moving around government offices and major agencies to go and lock them up. So by tomorrow, the strike will be more strong.
In Plateau State, while the labor unions insist on their demands, this resident says the NLC's demand does not represent the plight of the common man, considering the current economic realities.
If labor leaders are talking of government officials having exotic cars, writing exotic cars, having what, so we are talking of cost of governance. And if it is at that lens we are viewing it, we are not getting it right to apply the minimum wage.
In Kwara State, a handful of workers who reported for duties early in the morning could not gain access to their respective offices. A public affairs analyst that spoke with TVC News, Olariwaju Ishowo, says the 494,000 naira minimum wage proposed by the NLC is unrealistic considering the current economic situation of the country.
Ensure that they negotiate within the ambit of what the federal government can afford, at the same time the same government.
The Niger State government workers are in full compliance with the strike. The deputy governor said plans have been made to provide for essential services.
And I don't think there is a friction or fight. This is just a process of discussion that I believe very soon we will actually meet somewhere else.
At the Mina General Hospital, doctors were not on ground to treat patients except at the accident and emergency units.
We have to attend to patients. That's why we are here. But you can see our nurses are not around, though some of my colleagues are not working. But we in emergency units, we are working because emergency can come at any time.
Here at the General Hospital, only the accident and emergency ward is operational. Every other ward has been shut down. If people do not get essential services by tomorrow, things might get worse. Cheneme Bami, TVC News, Mina.
On the streets of Gombe and Maiduguri, it looks like any other day. But at a closer look, the frustration of residents become more obvious.
My wife, she's in hospital now. Don't you mind about it? Present.
They're worried that the industrial action could worsen the challenging economic situation in the country. The region has suffered several weeks without normal electricity supply from the national grid, and now banks, airports, and other critical facilities have been shut down. The people are urging the federal government and labor leaders to return to the negotiation table.
The economic situation is very hard. Common man cannot afford it. And movement is very hard. Policy is there, poverty is there, the hunger is there. People are under duress.
If you look at the percentage of the country, almost 50-55% are not working. So if you increase the salary, what will be the benefits? The benefit of it will be zero.
I cannot say that our government are bad. Our government are good. Why? Because we have good leadership. We have a good leadership. Why? Because we people, we have to be patient.
In Yobe and Taraba State, labor leaders were aggressive in the enforcement of the strike and closure of offices. Their goal is to compel the government to yield to their demands.
Even the bank will close them, the offices will close it, even the NNPC.
Appealing for the workers to exercise patience. This is
all for our own betterment. If this national minimum wage is approved,
it is everyday people like Adamu Shinga who suffers the gravest impact of industrial actions. A humble farmer who traveled over 70 kilometers from his village to the state capital to withdraw money to buy fertilizers. He did not get the money that he needed from the bank, nor the money to return home.
Like me now, travel as I wasted around 2,000 naira to what brought me here. I was not anticipating that strike will go on. So you see trouble. We are suffering.
Many of these residents of Gombe are angry. There has been disruption of water and electricity supply for several weeks, even before this strike action. Now, they can't get access to their money and other basic services. They hope for a speedy resolution of the impasse between the federal government and labor unions, so that their lives, which has been pretty difficult, can get some measure of relief. Landry Adiemi, TVC News, Gombe.
The labor unions' nationwide strike crippled the economic activities of most cities in the southeast. In Enugu, southeast capital, the labor unions commenced the protest from the state secretariat GRA to Akano Ibiam International Airport, with schools too complying with the labor industrial action. The state NLC chairman maintained that the exercise was to improve the well-being of Nigerian workers.
But I know that the tripartite committee, they've been working on the figures, and then from 615 down to 494, and the government from 48 to 60,000. So I believe there could be a middle course at the end of the day.
In Imo State, the industrial action as declared by the organized labor recorded total compliance. Some civil servants who tried to resume duty this morning met the gate of the state secretariat along Port Harcourt Road in Owerri under lock and key.
What's going on? And as you can see myself here, I'm seriously stranded. So we Nigerians cannot continue to face this kind of trials. Why? This is our lovely country.
I came from a far place to have a transaction with the bank. At the end of it, they ask us to go.
We say want living wage. The price is not 60,000. Why they made the increment of more than 400%?
The story is not different in Umuahia, the Abia state capital, as the activities at the state civil service secretariat, commercial banks, schools, and hospitals were shut down.
If the organized labor just demanded for 496,000 naira, is it too much?
No. Financial institutions in some states in the southeast did not open, leaving business owners, customers stranded. Bamidele Ajayi, TVC News, Enugu.
It was an emotional scene at the University of Uyo Teaching Hospital due to the strike. Many patients were hurriedly discharged while new arrivals were denied admission. Those allowed to stay and their family members were left with little hope about receiving any medical attention.
This strike something now is affecting us. No lights, nothing. If you go inside there, the toilet safe, you cannot even pass inside because there's no water.
Even the nurses right now are trying to hide to do their duty, to perform their duty because of the strike. They are not supposed to be seen in the hospital.
Commercial banks, public schools, state and federal secretariats were also under lock and key.
As it is today, 30,000 naira coupled with high tariff of electricity, 30,000 naira cannot even take us to work.
In Rivers State, the courts are not sitting due to the instruction to judiciary staff to stay at home. At the State Secretariat complex, most of the staff also did not turn up for work, while labor union representatives made sure that those who did were turned back.
Like you can see, there are no workers, everywhere is shut down, and we have to comply to the directives from the national.
Despite the controversy generated by this latest strike, organized labor say they have the backing of majority of Nigerian workers.
This strike does not concern a state. If it concerns Rivers State, I'm telling only Rivers State wouldn't have gone for the strike because the governor has done so much for us.
It's day one of the indefinite strike, and labor leaders say so far it's been successful. They will continue to monitor compliance across the state until the action is called off. Uche Okoro, TVC News, Port Harcourt.